We're kind of talking about clearing things out. I don't know whether fall, it seems like a good time for that. And it seems to be everywhere I look lately. People are getting rid of things, clearing things out. Do you feel that way too? I'm running into it constantly, and I'm doing it myself. It just seems to be a time for that. So I was looking into some humorous quotes about cleaning. So here's some just reflections on cleaning by a variety of folks. I discovered the secret to a clean house is to never let your children or spouse enter it. Okay. Yes. Behind every good marriage is a great house cleaning service. Okay. There's another one, kind of along the same line. Either I need a babysitter to watch my kids while I clean my house, or I need a maid to clean my house while I watch my kids. Right. I bet a lot of people feel that way. I'm really not into spring cleaning. Come to think of it, I'm not into summer, fall, or winter cleaning either. Cleaning is just putting stuff in less obvious places. That is true sometimes. Here's another I thought was kind of funny. I think I have an urge to get up and clean the house. Wait, no false alarm. I like that. Here's one I can reflect on myself. Does anyone else have a plastic bag full of other plastic bags somewhere in their house, or is it just me? How many have a bag? We call it the bag of bags. All right, yeah. All right, and here's one I think has some wisdom in it. You never know what you have until you clean your room. There's a lot of wisdom in that, isn't there? We have too much, we don't even know what we have. And that's why there's a lot of cleaning out, letting things go, clearing things out in our lives. And it needs to be a pretty constant activity, it seems. Because it's really true, in some way, that old adage, less is more, really has a lot of truth to it. If you can get down to the important things and eliminate the unnecessary, the superfluous, then you can really see what you have and more fully appreciate it and have more room for new life, for new things to come in. I was interested in that phrase. It's okay. We understand. It's happened to all of us at least once. That phrase, less is more, it's attributed to a few different people. But the main one, most often attributed to an architect named Louis van der Rohe. I don't know if any of you are familiar with his beautiful work. Apparently there's a house called the Farnsworth House in Illinois. You can go tour. That's his design, and it's just this masterpiece of simplicity of style. But that was his credo, kind of, less is more. If you get down to the very basics of a structure and what you need, it's more beautiful, it's more elegant. That simplicity is more powerful. So the definition of less is more is having just the essential things is better than having way too much of superfluous things. It allows you to focus on what matters and appreciate them more fully. And I think that's what we, that's in our experience. We have a lot of experience of that. And there's a lot of emphasis on simplifying, paring it down, getting rid of the superfluous so that we can take more delight and really more nourishment in what we have. I remember being amazed when I was a girl growing up. My mother would often tell us that for Christmas, because she got us a lot of things for Christmas, a lot of us grew up that way probably. She said that when she was a girl, she remembered she got a Bible for Christmas. That was mine, actually. We got a Bible, that was it, that's all you got. And there was somebody, another friend, who said that his father always used to say, when I was a child, me and my siblings each got an orange for Christmas. And that was a really special thing. And can you imagine how delicious that orange tasted? If that was it, that's what you got, it was the only time you got it that year. That's kind of really the height of the great nourishment of simplicity and fully experience. I don't know how much my mother appreciated that Bible. I didn't really press her on that point, if that was her only gift. But I think it's true. If you pare it down and you have just this, then you fully appreciate it. When you get rid of all the other stuff, I remember an early Christmas with my niece and nephew. They were just little ones, and And all the relatives were so excited to get them Christmas gifts. The grandparents came from one state with a carload of gifts, and there were gifts here for the parents, and gifts from aunts and uncles. It was a mountain of gifts. And they got so tired of wrapping gifts, they were just tearing them off, and they got really cranky and tired, and they had to take naps before all the gifts were open. That's kind of the other extreme from the Bible and the orange, isn't it? Which were most enjoyed? I think maybe that orange. This idea is really everywhere in our spiritual teachings. All of our great spiritual teachers have emphasized simplicity, letting things go, and being more aware of and grateful for the essential. And as we pare it down that way, we can experience more of those blessings and that nourishment. I always thought it was interesting, Jesus, when he was sending the disciples out to do the work of ministering and teaching, these ideas that were just called the way early on, as he was sending them out to do their healing teaching ministry, he said, carry no purse, no bag, no sandals. Don't pack a bag. Don't take resources with you. You go out, you share what you have, who you are, the life-changing words that you have to share with others, the healing energy flowing through that. You share that freely, you receive freely. Let people put you up and feed you. You don't worry about how to provide for yourself. It's a simple, nourishing way, unburdened, that he seemed to be suggesting you can do your work better that way. Don't be burdened with stuff. And he lived that way. As you read through the Gospels, it's evident he enjoyed the blessings of life. There were, script Gospels about dinner with friends and nice homes. His first miracle was producing more fine wine at a wedding celebration. He had no opposition to fine things, but he had no concern about possessions or belongings or property or things like that. He wasn't burdened with that or concerned with them at all. The Buddha taught, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. There's a lot packed into that, isn't there? Gandhi said, live simply, so that others may simply live. It's a credo that's kind of been embraced by the Simply Living organization that we have a chapter of in town, in Columbus, I think. Gandhi also said, there's enough on this planet for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. What a wisdom in that, huh? And one of my favorites always was Thoreau. He was a big voice for me when I was going through my college years as an English major. Our life is frittered away by detail. I feel sometimes like I have days being frittered away by detail. Do you ever have that feeling? Just too much detail management today. Where's the essence? Am I putting my energy into the important things in life, or am I just checking things off my to-do list? Something we have to stay in touch with. Details can kind of overwhelm. And I think many people feel that now, and that seems to be why there seems to be really a profound interest in simplifying going on. And I stumbled upon a new person, new to me because I don't stay in touch with media very well, but a new popular Netflix show called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. How many of you know Marie Kondo? It's delightful. She's a little Japanese woman who fell in love with tidying up and organizing back as a 5-year-old. Right? By the time she was 19, she was starting a business as a masterful tidy-upper. She has an amazing gift for it. She has a best-selling book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. She has some 200 or so consultants who do her work, or she has this KonMari method of how to declutter and tidy up wherever you live. And it's so interesting to me that so many of the principles by which she does her decluttering work, she'll go into people's homes and guide them in this decluttering process, are spiritual principles. It seems to me very in keeping with the kind of spiritual teachings I've just been talking about. Her main principles are, you prioritize what has meaning for you, and you're willing to let go of what you don't need, so you'll have space for what you love. And she knows it's a spiritual issue. She says the question of what you want to own is actually the question of how you want to live your life. And as you reflect on this, it's absolutely true. The things you want to own or have around you reflect how you feel about yourself and what you want your life to be about. So here's our 6 steps in getting rid of stuff. The 6 basic rules of tidying, in case this is new to you. I found a lot of spiritual ideas in here. 1, commit yourself to tidying up. You make a commitment to do it. 2, you imagine your ideal lifestyle. Visualization, visioning, we talk about that a lot in Unity. You get an image of your life, your ideal life, how you're living that, what that looks like. Rule 3, you finish discarding first. And rule 4, you tidy by category, not by location. I thought this was kind of interesting. We've often done it by rooms. I'm going to tackle the kitchen today, or I'm going to tackle, this. She says by category. So it's like clothes, then books, then papers, then miscellaneous stuff, and finally, sentimental items. Those are the toughest, aren't they? Really hard to get rid of sentimental things. That's her categories. You go through them that way. And rule 5 is you follow that order, do it in right order. And 6, the last one, this is the big one. About any item as you're reflecting on what to let go of, you pick it up and you ask yourself, does it spark joy? Does it spark joy? If it does not spark joy in you, you release it with a thank you for its service, with a blessing on it, with gratitude. And you keep only those things that speak to the heart, discarding anything that does not. It seems to me these are very powerful spiritual principles, and I think this is part of the reason why people are responding to this petite Japanese woman's interesting business, because she puts so much emphasis on being mindful of the whole process, being introspective, being intuitive, what serves me and what doesn't, what's in alignment with who I am, what I want my life to be like, what's not. It's very intuitive, and it's forward-looking. You've got a vision of the life you want to live, and it's grateful. These are all powerful spiritual principles, and they're all enacted through tidying up our homes. I really love the simplicity of that. And this is something we can all relate to. There aren't any exceptions. Many of us have things in our attics, our basements, our closets, sometimes whole rooms, full of things we don't necessarily want or need, or have even looked at for years sometimes. In my basement, I was thinking about we've been trying to do some clearing out. It's all my old journals. I've been a journaler since I was like 6 or 7, probably. That's a lot of journals. And I have a bonfire one day as I deal with those. But there's all kinds of old writing and essays and things like that. There's lots of little boxes. I was kind of into boxes for a while. And now what am I going to do with all these boxes? So they've been going out. There's my mother's cedar chest, which was her hope chest. Remember that phrase? Her old wedding gown is still in there. That's down there. Joe's mother's cedar chest is down there. Joe's art, going way back to the early 70s probably, lots of art supplies. We've got Joe's father's highway patrol memorabilia. He was a highway patrol officer, and all of Irene's, Joe's mom's memorabilia. Hard to get rid of memorabilia like that, isn't it?
Amen.
Amen. And it just kind of collects over the years. Many things we don't need, never look at, but can't get rid of somehow. Is that familiar sounding? Yes. Pretty much everywhere. So we've been doing kind of a recent cleanse. I think it's like an intuitive urge that comes and goes with me. And sometimes it's keyed to frustration. You're trying to find something that's like, geez, I can't find it. It's too much stuff. And then the intuitive urge arises. I've got to do a cleanse, got to move some things along. So we had, there's a free store in Delaware. That's a great place to take things you want to move along. But we decided to have a little free store at our house. We had a recent family reunion, and I thought, 15 relatives in town, all at the house. I can move along some stuff. And I set some stuff out on tables in the basement and said, please everyone, take whatever you could use. And what a joy it was to move some things along, especially when you're able to give something to someone who sparks joy for them. It doesn't spark joy for you anymore, but it sparks joy for them. And I had a nephew that found a cowboy hat, and that sparked joy for him, and a my niece's little 5-year-old found a little turtle ring. It had a little turtle with the head and the legs moved on it. And she loved that. She was excited to get that turtle ring, and a necklace and a Beatles poster someone took. Was like, oh, perfect. You know, when you're able to pass something along that way, it's like you're spreading that joy, and you're clearing space for more joy in your life as you create that kind of room. I think it's something to think about. Why does it feel so good to let things go? Why do you think that is? I think it's because it creates more room for what you love, for who you are to express, and it boils it down. It's easier to see what you have that's really precious. It draws more focus on that. Kind of stimulates the flow of life. It really is kind of true, that little proverb I mentioned, that you never know what you have until you clean your room. When you start clearing stuff out, then you really can see the preciousness, the beauty that you have. So it seems to me this is all really highly spiritual stuff, this kind of tidying up, when it's engaged in that mindful, intuitive way. And I think it's important that we extend it to mental, spiritual stuff, too, that we've got in our attic. You know, mind is kind of a good way. Attic is a good metaphor for that. You know, thoughts held in mind, beliefs, attitudes. What do you have in your attic in that way, mentally, spiritually? What kind of stuff might be in there that's kind of burdensome? You might have needed once, but you don't need it now, and it would really be freeing to get it out of the attic, kind of clean that out. You know, I think we've all got stuff like that too. Some old resentment or grievance, for instance. You know, some anger or animosity that, you know, maybe felt righteous and was energizing at one time, but we don't need it now, and it's irritating when it comes back to mind. You know, that kind of thing. Old ideas about who we are, you know, what's possible for us. Some of those kind of ideas other people put in that attic. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes growing up, and we've gone along the way, people projected ideas onto us about who we are, what's possible for us, what our talents are or aren't. Maybe we were criticized or put down, or, you know, in some way, and that's still up in that attic. Like, oh, you can't do that. You're not smart enough to do that. Yeah, these are old things we need to clear out of the attic, clean it out. And I think that's kind of an important process too, to kind of do that mental spiritual review. Is this something that serves me? Is this something in alignment with my vision of myself and my life? Is this something that sparks joy? Or is it just burdensome clutter at this point that needs to be cleared out? Going through our physical attics and closets and such, it can be a way of clearing out mental, spiritual stuff too. They really interact. There's a synchronicity between physical clearing out and mentally clearing out. Would you agree?
Yes.
That's part of the reason it feels so good to clear out something in our homes, because it clears out our minds a little bit too. They definitely interact. And I was reading some of the online reading I was doing about Marie Kondo, and which there's a lot out there. I was reading an interview between her, or a conversation between her and Elizabeth Gilbert. You remember the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, or Pray, Eat, Love, or Love, Eat, Pray? I can't remember. I think it's maybe Eat, Pray, Love. And she's a pretty savvy woman, and they were talking about clearing things out and things like that, and the benefits of that. And they really resonated with each other. And Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about how she went through a period of time, I think it was just before she went abroad for a year and had all that experience that led to the book, Eat, Pray, Love, and then many other books. But it was just before she divorced and really shifted into a kind of a new time in her life. She had went to a house there at that time, and she worked with a life coach by the name of Martha Beck. I think she's actually pretty well known, a spiritual teacher and life coach. And one of the things Martha Beck told Elizabeth Gilbert was, it was kind of an exercise. Think of the room in your house that is most dreadful to you, the worst room in your house, like the dirtiest, the crowdedest, the most cluttered, the most horrible room. And she said for her it was the attic. And it was really musty, it was overstuffed, It was the place where she kept a lot of old manuscripts and files and documents and early stuff, and all kinds of other stuff. And there was also some hole in the roof up there where birds got in, and there was some dead birds around, and it was just horrible. So Martha Beck said, use 5 words to describe that space, and she came up with words like dangerous, toxic, shameful. She felt awful about it. In fact, she'd locked the attic door. She wasn't going to go in there anymore. It's not a very good way of dealing with a problem in your house. But she realized that kind of sparked her understanding. She needed to look into the attic and do some clearing out there. And she got some friends to help her, in fact, and they cleared out that attic day by day. It took several days, but they got the roof repaired, they cleaned everything out. Any documents she wanted to keep, she filed someplace else. Everything else was cleared out, discarded. It was cleaned, freshly painted, the door unlocked, finally. And she realized that she did a cleansing ceremony, she did some sage, and some things like that in the area. And she said it was such a clearing out that it opened up all kinds of new insights into who she was and how she was meant to live. And she said, interestingly, within a month, she was divorced. Quite a dramatic period of self-discovery ensued from there. That's when I think she wound up selling that home, I'm not sure, but she went and traveled for a year, and that was what led to Eat, Pray, Love, and then other books, and then another significant relationship. And I just think it's interesting. She said, I was afraid to look into certain things. There were things I didn't want to know about. She locked the door on her. And she said, you can't do work on yourself and not do work on the place where you live. And you can't work on the place where you live and not do work on yourself. They're the same. They reflect. They're in sync. She suggested if you're too afraid to look into the scary attic in your mind, look into the scary attic in your home. And she suggested it can be kind of a doorway, a portal to some important self-discovery and some important movement forward. Life-changing magic of tidying up. That's Marie Kondo's title. And it's absolutely true. As we clear things out, we make space for new life, for us to express ourselves and who we're meant to be more fully. And sometimes we start that with physical tidying up, clearing out physically. And I think it's more powerful as we engage in it in the way she's talking about, intuitively, introspectively, and being willing to also include, what am I wanting to clear out in my mind and heart too? They go hand in hand, and it can be a wonderfully liberating experience. This willingness to let things go that no longer serve, that no longer spark joy. As you can pass them on, others, it may spark joy for others, or maybe it's just meant to go. Just be rid of it and create more room for divine energy to flow, for divine ideas to arise, for new opportunities to come to you. When we're burdened with stuff, we hardly know what we have, and we have no room for the new. So here's my affirmation for this week as I reflect on this idea. Freely and gratefully, let's do it in parts. Freely and gratefully.
Freely and gratefully.
I release all things that no longer spark joy in my heart.
I release all things that no longer spark joy in my heart.
Everywhere I look, I see blessings.
Everywhere I look, I see blessings.
Let's take that into prayer for a moment. Affirm that truth within. We are ready and willing to release any clutter in our lives, in our homes, in our hearts, in our minds. We are uninterested in holding on to anything that burdens us, that blocks us, that does not spark joy in us. We are ready to let go of all that, and we are wide open to receive all the blessings of life that we already have. We fully appreciate them, and all the new blessings that are going to be coming our way as we create more space for them. The flow of blessings is unstoppable. That's the activity of God in our lives, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.